What is up, everybody, and welcome to Tailgate Talks episode 2. I am your host, Katie Mack, and today we're going to talk about a lot of different things. So I'm going to try to roll through this as quickly as I possibly can because I am a yapper and I could sit here and talk forever. And the last couple of times that I've had to kind of process how long these videos have been, I've been pleasantly surprised that they are as long as they are. So we're going to try to hustle through today. Bear with me. We're going to talk about a lot, and we're going to get started with some college football and then go into a little bit of NFL drama, and then we'll talk MLB moves, and then we'll close it out from there. So first thing I want to talk about is Bill Belichick going to be the head coach at Chapel Hill. Now, this is a little bit interesting to me because I currently live in the Raleigh, North Carolina area. And so there's a lot of people that are Chapel Hill fans, and they're like really, really excited about this. And then there's some people that are like, I don't know how this is going to pan out. Now, I'm not a Chapel Hill fan, so I feel like I'm pretty, non-biased in speaking about this. So here are my thoughts. It's a really, really interesting move to hire somebody who's never coached at the collegiate level before, and especially somebody who's never coached at the collegiate level in such a tumultuous time in college football. Because, with NIL and everything moving the way that it's moving, like there's so much change. And I feel like it's difficult to bring in an older coach, having been an athlete who's been with older coaches that don't adjust super well. I think this is an interesting move. And I think Belichick could potentially struggle to just make the adjustments. But I do think, it is an interesting time in college football. And there is, I see this going potentially two different directions. One, Belichick already has experience managing salaries and is well prepared to do that at Carolina. Because the changing nature of college football is that, it is basically free agency. These players are going to play where they're going to get the most money. It's not about getting the best experience or being at the program that they like the most. It's about the most money, right? So maybe he has the experience to do that. Maybe he's been doing it so long that now that college football and the NFL are kind of merging, maybe he's in a position to handle that really, really well. And number two, like I said before, is the other option, that he's a little bit too old and set in his ways and comes with his own philosophy rather than adjusting to the changing nature of college football. So those are the kind of two ways that I see it going. But I do have a quick hot take before we close out the Bill Belichick discussion. I am not sure how effective of a coach Bill Belichick is. And I'm going to speak in Florida Gator terms because I am a Florida Gator, but he kind of reminds me a lot of Urban Meyer in the sense that, Urban Meyer came in to Florida in 2004, 2005. And, he presented himself as such a successful coach because Tim Tebow came in, right? So he kind of had this incredible quarterback fall in his lap. And then because of that incredible quarterback, people, say, oh, it was Urban Meyer. But my opinion is that it was Tim Tebow who brought in players like Brandon Spikes and Percy Harvin and Major Wright and Aaron Hernandez, like all those players that kind of ended up rounding out that team and winning those several national titles, were all more so because of Tebow and not necessarily because of Urban. And I believe this because, he leaves in 2009 and he goes and tries to coach at Ohio State for a couple of years, isn't really that successful, goes and tries to coach in the NFL for a couple of years, isn't really that successful. And I see a lot of the same thing in Belichick. He was a very successful coach when Tom Brady was a part of the Patriots, right? And then Tom Brady leaves and it's like, what happened? Like, where did all of that, coaching success go, right? So I just think it'll be an interesting couple of years, with him at the helm in Chapel Hill. But, my personal opinion is that this is not going to go the way Chapel Hill hopes it goes. I hope for the sake of all the Chapel Hill fans in my life that I am going to eat my words and, this ends up being great. But my personal opinion is that he's probably not going to amount to what they hope he will. Now, moving on to the NFL, I do want to kind of talk a little bit about this weird phenomenon in the NFL where NFL players are refusing to play. Like, what the heck is genuinely going on? Now, this happened for the second time last Thursday. 49ers linebacker Devondre Campbell refused to go in the game against the Rams, a game that almost squashed the 49ers playoff hopes. Now, Campbell signed a $5 million one-year contract with San Francisco in March, and this came right after Dre Greenlaw, who is their usual starting linebacker, had gotten himself injured at the Super Bowl. So what this basically was a one-year rental for a player to come in and be there until Dre Greenlaw recovered. Now, last Thursday was Dre Greenlaw's first game back after this significant, it was an Achilles tendon injury. So Dre Greenlaw starts the first and second quarters, and then he starts having some, pain, stiffness in his ankle. And that's when they wanted Campbell to go in. And Campbell walked off the field and was basically like, no. He walked off the field with a towel draped over his head and went back into the locker room before the end of the game. Now, there were a lot of emotions, a lot of thoughts here. Now, what ultimately ended up happening is the 49ers suspended him the last 3 games of the season, which in my opinion is the smart move, because if they had cut him, he would have ended up being able to go play for another team. But honestly, who would have seriously wanted him? He's proved that he's not really a team player at all. So who would have really wanted him? But, the last 3 games of the season, they don't have to pay him, and he's not going to go potentially hurt another NFL team. So I think that was the right move. But there were a lot of thoughts here. Now, 49ers head coach Kyle Shanahan was fully ready to move on from Campbell. And this is what he said. We're working through the semantics of exactly how to deal with it. But you guys heard from me last night. This was in response to the game last Thursday. His actions from the game is just not something you can do to your team or your teammates and still expect to be part of our team. So we're working through exactly the semantics of it, but we will handle the situation appropriately. And Shanahan was asked a follow-up question to confirm that he didn't expect Campbell to be with the club in week 16 and beyond. And he flat out said, no, I don't. And since then, in the last couple of days, he has said that signing Campbell was a mistake. Either way, all of the 49ers team had a lot of things to say about it. George Kittle was very opinionated. This is what he said. I'm a leader on the team, and if that is something that is being a distraction on the sideline, I would have loved to voice my own opinion in the moment, and we're past that moment, so it doesn't matter what I wish I could have said or wish I could have done, but I don't like distractions on the sideline. I think it's ignorant. I think it's dumb. I think it's stupid, and it's very immature. I don't see how you could do something like that to your teammates. And Travarius Ward, cornerback, chimed in as well. He's a professional. He's been playing for a long time. He didn't want to play. He shouldn't have dressed out. He could have told him before the game. So I feel like that was selfish, definitely hurt the team. Dre went down and we needed a linebacker. And for him to do that, that's sucker stuff in my opinion. And he's probably going to get cut soon. So Travarius Ward was not too far from what ended up happening. Now, this isn't the only instance of this. Ravens wide receiver Deontay Johnson also refused to play in the Ravens-Eagles game at the beginning of December. And on December 4th, the organization announced that they were suspending him because of that. Now, it's speculated that both of these players decided not to play due to pride-related reasons and feeling like their teams have not taken advantage of their abilities and given them the playing time that they believe they're worth. But in my opinion, this is so incredibly selfish and please, see the forest for the trees. You are playing NFL football. Do you know how many thousands of people would want to be in your shoes and want to have the opportunity that you have? And here you are just basically being like, you know what? No. As an athlete, I look at this and I think this is so ridiculous, because if I was given an opportunity, to prove that, maybe this person hadn't given me an opportunity when they should have, I'm going to step out there and prove them wrong and be like, yeah, this is why you should have given me an opportunity earlier. It's your job as an athlete to take all of the opportunities that are given to you and use them to the best of your ability. And this isn't even to say that this is a job. This is any old job where if you don't do your job, you get fired, right? And so it makes sense that both of these players should be fired from their job for not doing it when it's asked of them, right? So anyways, I digress. This made me really, really heated watching this whole thing happen, and I had to comment on it. But anyways, let's jump on over to baseball. So Kyle Tucker to the Chicago Cubs. This trade was speculated on earlier in the week, last week at the MLB winter meetings. And so the Astros did end up pulling the trigger on this one. They received infielder Isaac Paredes, right-hand pitcher Hayden Wesneski, and third baseman Cam Smith, MLB Pipeline's number 73 overall prospect. Now, Tucker is 1 year away from reaching free agency, so this trade made sense from the Astros front. They were wanting to trade some value back into their organization before not being able to potentially meet the number that Tucker would be worth in a year. And according to the Cubs GM, this is what he said: "We made this deal understanding that this deal had to be worth it for 1 year of Kyle Tucker, and we certainly felt like that was the case." Now, Kyle Tucker is reportedly really excited to move to the North Side and play for what he called an iconic franchise. And this move has fired up the Cubs fan base and has gotten them excited for one of the biggest additions to the team that they've had in years. Now, next big trade move of the week, belly to the Bronx. Cody Bellinger got traded to the Yankees from the Cubs this week. And now this was speculated on. This was clearly in the works last week. I brought it up a little bit. And I actually am really excited for this. I'm excited for this kind of just change of scenery for Cody Bellinger because I think he's really struggled in the last couple of years. He had an outstanding season in 2019. He batted 305 and I think he had 47. That's right. He did have 47 home runs that year, which is insane. And then 2023 was the year that he's been like the closest to that level. By the way, in 2019, he was with the Dodgers. But in 2023, he batted 307 with 27 something or other home runs. So that was his closest year. But clearly he's struggled a little bit to kind of meet that same level that he was at in 2019. So I'm really excited for this move for him. His dad actually played for the Yankees from 99 to 01. And then he finished his MLB career in 2003 with the Angels. But this is just a really, really cool storyline. And there was actually an interview with Aaron Boone a couple days ago when this whole thing went down, and Aaron was basically talking about how before they even traded Bellinger, like before they even finalized the deal and everything, Cody basically said to him, just put me wherever you want. Like, just put me wherever you want. I'll come in. I'll play whatever position you want me to play, whether that be first base or outfield, because there's a lot of moves kind of going on in the Yankees lineup and defensive alignment right now, just with Juan Soto leaving and all that. So I have so much respect for Cody Bellinger for saying that to Aaron Boone, because I think that like that is the kind of teammate that everybody wants to have. Like everybody loves those kind of players, the people that come in and they're like, I'm just excited to be here. Like, put me wherever you want to play me, and I will do the best that I possibly can doing whatever you want me to do. So I'm excited for him. You know, he's pretty young. I think he's only 29 or 30. And so just hoping that, you know, this move to the Yankees, you know, helps him kind of propel back to kind of where he was in 2019 and, you know, 2023. Now, he got traded for reliever Kyle Poteet, who was a fourth rounder in 2015 to the Marlins, and he's had a wide variety of experience as a starter and reliever in the majors, and he's been injured recently with a tricep issue and has been in and out of the minors for the last few seasons. So excited to see what he'll do in Chicago. I mean, he's a solid player. But yeah, so moving on, we're actually going to talk about the Phillies for a second. So the Phillies just signed free agent Max Kepler, and I am really, really curious as to what the Phillies are thinking with this, because the Phillies outfield is stacked. I want to say they have like 7 outfielders right now. They're just stockpiling them. Now, what this probably means is they're going to trade away one or two of the guys that are there. There's been speculations that, they might be getting rid of Marsh. They might be getting rid of Castellanos. Who knows? But the Phillies have reportedly said that they're looking to shake up the roster in this offseason, just coming out of this season where they were knocked out in the first round of the playoffs. And rumor has it they are also shopping for a new third baseman and preparing to get rid of Alec Bohm. So no idea what that looks like, but, you know, Kepler has been solid since he got to the league in 2015. He's now 31, average 250 hitter, and he only actually played 105 games last season due to an injury, but he did have a 36 home run season in 2019, and his most recently close to that was 24 in 2023. And he's played well recently, so if he comes in healthy, he could help the Phillies do some damage. Now I want to switch gears just a little bit and talk about all of the free agents that are still actually available. Now, originally it was 13 of the top 20. Literally this afternoon, as I'm like writing all of my notes for this show, Christian Walker actually signed with the Astros, which effectively locks down the Astros infield. Now, an interesting point with that is that 2 days ago, the Cardinals tried to trade Nolan Arenado to the Astros, and Nolan Arenado blocked the trade using a no trade clause in his contract, which, I'm sorry, cracked me up. As a certified Astros hater, I'm sorry if I'm supposed to be neutral on here, but I am a certified Astros hater. That cracked me up. Like, I was laughing for the entire day. Like, oh my gosh, I thought it was so funny. But anyways, so no to Arenado. So they ended up signing Christian Walker, and with the trade deal of Kyle Tucker to the Cubs, they actually brought in a third baseman, Isaac Paredes. So honestly, the Astros infield is probably locked down. They're not going to need Alex Bregman, who we're going to talk about in a second, and they're not going to need there was another one that I was thinking of. My brain just had a little brain fart. But anyways, let's talk about who is still left. And I'm going to put this up real quick so you guys can kind of see what the list looks like. Number 2, Roki Sasaki, pitcher from Japan, 2.10 ERA. He's only 23 years old, and the Dodgers were reportedly interested in him initially, but he's meeting with the Cubs in LA today. No moves have been made yet. Now, Corbin Burns, talked a little bit about him last week. He will be looking for a contract upwards of $218 million, which is what Max Fried signed for last week with the Yankees. And as of 5 years ago, the Red Sox, 5 hours ago, I'm struggling with words today. Sorry, guys. As of 5 hours ago, the Red Sox are out of the mix, and he's predicted to sign a $250 million deal with an NL West team. Now, number 5 on the list, Alex Bregman. It is very unlikely, like I just said a couple minutes ago, that he ends up back at the Astros after Isaac Paredes ended up there in the Kyle Tucker trade package, and now Christian Walker signing today. Evidently, the Red Sox, Mets, Tigers, and Blue Jays are still in the conversations. And the MLB insiders think that the Red Sox could be the likely landing spot, but nothing yet. Now, number 7, Pete Alonso. Everybody's saying that he is unlikely to sign soon. There has been a lot of speculation that he could end up back at the Mets, but it has been reported that he declined his qualifying offer with the Mets a month ago for a longer-term deal. He reportedly wants something over $138 million and a minimum of 6 years. So no news on that one yet. As a sort of Mets fan, I really, really hope he ends up back there. We love Polar Pete. Now, number 9, Jack Flaherty, reportedly eyeing an $88 million deal with the Orioles. This is good. The Orioles need this as they are currently losing ace Corbin Burns. So this would be a really, really solid pickup for the Orioles, but nothing has gone down with this one yet. Now, number 10, Sean Manaea is predicted to re-sign with the Mets thus far on a deal between $75 and $86 million, but that number is kind of fluctuating on a day in and day out basis. Number 12, Anthony Santander, looking for a 5-year, $100 million deal. Red Sox, Yanks, Giants, and Tigers are in the conversation. Number 13, Teoscar Hernandez wants a 3-year contract in the 22 to 24 mil range. Dodgers are still in, but the Blue Jays and Red Sox are showing interest as well. I want to see him back with the Dodgers. I'm not really a Dodgers fan, but I love Teoscar with the Dodgers. I love that team chemistry. And so I'm going to be sad if he doesn't end up back at the Dodgers, but I know it's the name of the game. Can't complain about it. Number 14, Nick Pivetta. Blue Jays are interested. And this one honestly makes sense. He's a Canada native. He's from I think more of the West Coast, but this honestly makes sense. And if he ends up in Canada, wouldn't be surprised at all. Number 18, Walker Buehler. As of 6 hours ago, he might be on his way to the Cubs with a 3-year, $45 million deal. But as you guys know, things change in a matter of minutes in this MLB offseason. So in 6 hours, we might have a completely different answer. And number 19, this is the last one, Tanner Scott. Lots of interest for Scott across the board. He was originally drafted with Baltimore and then with the Marlins for 3 seasons. And now most recently, he's been with the Padres. Overall, 3.56 career ERA with a 1.18 ERA in 2023 across 45 innings pitched, and then 2.73 ERA in 2024 with 26 innings pitched. Again, this is still very much up in the air. I think the Yankees were interested in him a little bit, but I don't know how, they've obviously pulled in a lot of solid pitchers in the last week and a half due to free agency and trades and things like that. So I feel like they might be out of it, but seriously, never count anybody out of it at this point. This is just such a chaotic time. But anyways, that was pretty good. I got through it in 20 minutes. I felt like I was going to be talking forever, but that's all I've got for you guys today. Thank you so much for listening, and I'll see you back here next week. And everybody who's listening, have a very, very Merry Christmas and a Happy Holidays.